The first Christmas after COVID, and it worked out that I decided to continue afterwards to work on other activities. I did Christmas in July. Dory was helping me with Christmas in July. I like to partner with different not-for-profits, and we did in both of those. So again, when I was doing that part of it, it also let me meet other people in my community. So, and then this opportunity came up. It's an election year, and based on some of my experiences, I graduated from University of Missouri with a degree in history. I worked in banking for many years, and I managed small all the way through very large banking centers. I ran a United Way campaign for the bank, and so I thought maybe I can make a difference, maybe I can be helpful, and I decided to give it a try. I've never run for office before, so
I am Kimberly Hageman. My husband and I moved over here about 7 years ago. We decided that we needed to get out of the big city because I don't like traffic. So we wanted small mountain community, and that's why we came here. I have an extensive background in many different things. I have been in event planning. I have worked for the hospitals, CPA firms. I have worked in the wedding industry for many years, on and off. I have owned businesses. I spent 15 years in college across the United States. I have multiple degrees. So one of the things that I have seen with Spruce Pine that's really important to me as a business owner in this community, I have seen people come and go so much as far as businesses are concerned. The businesses do not get enough support. I have seen people who have received grants, and within 6 months they're gone because they cannot make it. We have got to do something for our community to help business owners. We need to come together as a community. Everybody's words are important, and everyone's input is important to me. So I hope that I can be a successful leader and move forward and guide our community and listen to your voices, because I want to hear what everyone has to say.
Sharon.
I'm Sharon McIntosh. I'm a native of Yancey County, but I grew up in Florida. All my summers were spent here, coming back and forth and visiting grandparents and visiting the aunts and uncles. So I feel like I grew up here, even though my home was in Florida. My summers were here. After I graduated from high school, I moved here. I had to go back to Florida. I worked in different aspects, public speaking. I have worked in radio. I have worked in newspaper. More recently, however, I did move back to Green Mountain. I lived in Green Mountain for 6 years more recently, and then I moved to Alabama for personal reasons and came back. My daughter, who lives with me, she's 19, we were vacationing in Helen, Georgia. And I had planned to come back as soon as I retired, and she was still in high school. And we're standing there looking at the mountains, and she says, "Mom, I want to go home." And she went back to the mountains, and so we made that happen. This is home. My heart has always been here. No matter where I lived, this has always been home. So I moved back to Spruce Pine 3 years ago, and I was one of those people that joined the first efforts, but I had to step aside because I did go back to work. I work from home. I do customer service, so I'm very people-oriented, and a problem solver is what I do. Prior to that, my history was in church administration. I worked for 2 very large churches, one in Florida, one in Alabama, where I was the administrator. I did websites, newsletters, all the publishing, all the planning, event planning, and everything for the church. It was a very large church. And I did that for 7 years in Alabama and for 6 years in Florida. So administration is one of my assets. public speaking is another. But I'm here, the reason I wanna, run for town council is because, well, you know, when you've always done it that way for so many years, it's no longer the way that it needs to be done, and things need to change in Spruce Pine. Things need to grow, and businesses need to have an advocate, and our children need to have a place to live, a future here. And right now, that's not happening, so that's why I want to run for town council. So that hopefully the three of us together, we can make some positive changes in Spruce Pine and still maintain our small mountain integrity, our home where everyone's comfortable and wants to be. So, thank you.
Okay, so, questions, just, raise your hand, I'll call on you, whatever. Go ahead.
What are some of the current things that you're noticing that you would like to change?
Well, one of the things, if I may address this, there are certain families that seem to benefit from the decisions made by the current town council. There needs to be restrictions on council members benefiting from contracts, and not allowing outside people to come in and bid. The bidding process is, he can do the job, let's give it to him, because he's my husband, my uncle, my brother, my relative, my whoever.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's been unfair and biased for entirely too long, and that needs to change. It's one of the things that we want to advocate for more fairness.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a company and you want to present a bid, then you should be able to. And it should be a fair bid. It should be a closed bid that is only revealed to one person, and then they can, you know, choose. That's just one of the things. We need to just eliminate a lot of the, dare I say, nepotism that only certain families seem to benefit from the present council. And okay, that's one of the things. That's one of the things. We have a lot more that we'll address throughout, but that's one of the things.
Thank you.
I'd like to know what you're doing now to prepare for the office. Should you become elected? Are you, brushing up on current ordinances, and, are you up to date on what's on the table and what procedures they're going through right now and that sort of thing? You know, are you up to date on those things?
Well, I've been, I can start with that one. I've been attending the town council meetings regularly for years. So the advantage of that is you, all the pieces start filling and coming together. So if you go once in a while, you might not realize that something was discussed three meetings ago, and now it's coming up again. So I have an ongoing knowledge of what has been going on. I have a copy of the ordinances. I've read through the ordinances. So yes, I've met with Matt Ward, the economic coordinator of Mitchell County. I've visited other towns around, like Rolling Rock, looking at some of the things they do really well, you know, as far as being welcoming and flowers. You know, of course, you're kind of blown away when you go up there and look at, because they have a department that's just with the flowers. And some of the festivals that they do, they have an ice festival in January, I believe it was. So yeah, I've been looking for opportunities to see and best practices from other places, and continuing to attend the meetings. And we all visited a local business that has a water issue, significant water issue, and we spent some time visiting with him. He took us around and showed us their operations. So, do you have anything to add?
Well, there are, you know, quite a few things. I have spent 45 days researching water. learning how the systems function and seeing issues that need to be improved. Anything we do cannot be done overnight. That's the bottom line. It is going to take time to have stuff finished and completed. We have a lot of work to do in the beginning. We're gonna have to hit the ground running. We have, like, as Lynn said, major outdated ordinances that are going to have to be looked at and revised. We need to make sure that we are not in violation of any constitutional rights in those. There have been some things that have been taken away in the community that we hope we will be able to bring back. So that's sort of where I am in that, Sharon.
Yeah, you've spent a lot of time, Kim has spent a lot of time on, with the ordinances, going through and seeing what's outdated. I have to speak up for her. Seeing what's outdated, seeing what needs to be revised, but there's also ordinances, proposed, not passed yet, that just, going back to what I said originally, that benefit certain people, and only certain people. And it opens a door to, they can go after your property, but you can't touch theirs. And we need to return the voice of Spruce Pine to the people of Spruce Pine. It needs to be fair and unbiased, and not for this group, but not for that group. And that's the way it's been for so long that it needs to change. And yes, Kim has spent hours going over those ordinances. So we're preparing to work hard for you.
And I did spend some time in paralegal studies, so I do have a little bit of a legal background, so that's sort of why, part of why I'm researching a lot. I like to dig.
Go ahead.
So how do you ladies, plan on bringing support for the small businesses in
I'll address that.
Small business owner.
Well, as a business owner, I have seen some support, like with certain, like the chamber, for example. We do have some support from the chamber, but we do not have what is considered a merchant association. We really need that desperately in Spruce Pine to be able to help all of the business owners, not just a select few that can afford to buy a chamber membership. Every small business can't afford a chamber membership. It is very reasonably priced, so I'm not saying it's not, but when you're first getting started, that's not always a possibility. So I really, want to see us develop and hire the people that we really need to do proper marketing for the local businesses.
May I share some statistics?
Yes,
you may. Okay, Spruce Pine, while it's not a big town, is the biggest town in Mitchell County, but here's how Spruce Pine is represented. Okay, these stats. Only half of the board members of the Spruce Pine land use were actually citizens of Spruce Pine. Half of the Spruce Pine Housing Authority, of which there's a crisis on its own, only half of the board members are citizens of Spruce Pine. Half of the board members of the fire department, Spruce Pine Fire Department, are citizens of Spruce Pine. 2 out of 5 Mitchell County board members of elections are Spruce Pine residents. 1 out of 3 board members of the Spruce Pine ABC live in Spruce Pine. Only 5 out of 17 board members of the Spruce Pine Main Street live in Spruce Pine. Helping businesses, they don't even live in Spruce Pine, and that they're dictating to the Spruce Pine businesses. Our new chamber, may I say this, our new Spruce Pine Main Street guy, we have much faith in him. I want to say that first. 12% of the board members of the Mitchell County Chamber of Commerce, 12%, 2 out of 16, I believe that's right, are citizens of Spruce Pine, and yet the largest representation of the chamber are businesses in Spruce Pine, but they don't get to serve on the board. 1 out of 12 board members are on the Mitchell County Economics Development Committee. Only 1 person lives in Spruce Pine. And this is our business development, right? Only 1 out of 12 board members Malin Community College, one. Our citizens of Spruce Pine. This is how we're being represented, which means we're not being represented. And that needs to change too, because that affects our downtown businesses, our restaurants and our store owners and our service people, and you know, they need more representation than what they're getting.
One thing I want to interject as the realtor in the area and all about Spruce Pine that some of y'all might not know living here. Spruce Pine is the largest small town between Asheville and Boone. Say Weaverville, but that really is part of Asheville now. So we are the economic driver between Asheville and Boone. And Spruce Pine is not, it was born a train town, it was raised a mining town, it was an industry town. And that industry's gone, train's still here, doesn't do passengers, mining's still here. Mining was a big boom to the area at one time in history, but now both both major companies that do all the mining in the town employ a little less than 500 people combined. So the resources are being torn out of here, but you know, the town is what it is. It was once, it's not your traditional southern town in that it was formed around a little square or circle or something, and all. It was created as a train town, a hell on wheels town, and it became an industrious thing. But then when everything went south, so to speak, to Mexico or China, it was not the small town that was suffering and making a comeback like other small towns in North Carolina or Tennessee. It was a larger industrial town that has shrunk down and really doesn't have that southern foundation to rise up again. And so it takes being a train town. It was always a town of outsiders and people coming in, you know, until an established group got here and said, no, we're the originals, you know, we're here, you know, we're planted here and all. And so, you know, my family is some of those people that came here originally, but the town was always a vibrant center of new people coming and going and just a flow of energy. And that I feel like that energy's been suppressed, and that's what we're up against, you know, all parties involved, these guys or the other candidates or anybody, that's what they're up against. It is in this thing. So any other questions? Go ahead.
Please address the water issue. I think that's the most important thing. And where do you think we can get the money? Why do you think they haven't done anything for the past 17 years or however long Mr. Heiss has been involved with it to improve the water? Are y'all committed?
Absolutely.
We are committed to the water system. As I said before, we cannot fix this issue overnight. There's no way. It's going to take years to fix it because of things that have been neglected. You're gonna have to make sure that there's enough money in the budget to be able to fix what we need to. We're gonna have to get in, look at budgets. There are additional grants and funding that are available. We need to look at those on federal and state levels. There is, you know, ways to make sure that we appropriate enough funds. I know that people do not want their bills to go up. Nobody does. I agree with that, okay? But we have to make sure that we can also cover what we need to be able to cover. We're all in this together, and no, we don't want to increase taxes. That's not what we want. But, you know, when we look at the water problem, we're gonna have to make sure that we get some funding in place and that we get professionals that come in to do the stuff that we need, professional grant writers, professional people to find and locate the lines that we cannot find right now. Because evidently everything was not logged as they did stuff. there are a lot of water lines and we'll have breaks, and of course we do get our water boil advisories, and that is where some of the dirty water comes from. However, when you have corroded pipes, you have corrosion that will break loose in those pipes, and that is where part of our dirt is coming from. It is not all just from water breaks. So it's gonna have to be done in sections at a time. You can't just redo everything. So, right now I have looked at several options. Are we better off repairing in sections as we go, or is it more cost feasible to put in new lines and abandon what's currently there? Because it could cost a whole lot more to repair what we have than to actually put in new line. So,
And I think we need a master plan and work our plan. It seems like through the years, it's a little bit of here and a little bit of there, and you don't really, if you don't have a plan, you have no idea where you're going with any of it. So, we're gonna have to have subject matter experts in all different kinds of fields, from finance to the water to everything, and we need even experts in developing a plan. And then we'll know how long it's supposed to take. Sometimes things might go faster. We might also find some things that that are unexpected, and it's gonna delay something. And then all through, the great thing about having a plan is we know where we're going, and we can mark along the way, and we can tell everybody where we are on our plan. It doesn't seem like we have a plan anymore, and we just are sort of existing with water, boil order notices, and we'll get an award of millions of dollars, but where does it fit in the plan? Where do we start, and is it gonna end up in a certain spot, or is it gonna end up in multiple spots? So I think when we have a plan, we can work our plan, and we can communicate how close we are to reaching our goal. Newland recently, I think they're just about finished with their system upgrades, but they've been working on it for like 10 years. So, I think
It's not gonna happen overnight. It's gonna be done in stages. And like she said, that there needs to be a plan, then we need professionals in charge of that plan, not just putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone and saying it's fixed. But it's gonna be a huge undertaking, and it's one that we're addressing, and one that we're already researching, so that when we get elected, we can have a place to start and go from there. But yeah, it won't happen overnight, but yes, it is probably the top #1 issue on our list of priorities.
and one of the things I also would like to mention is, we have got to keep in mind when we get these quotes and things, we have got to build in an allowance for inflation, because everything goes up before you can get it done. You have to do that. And unfortunately, I don't feel like we have been building in any cushion for that, so we would like to see a change in that too.
I have a question. Okay. There are 2 seats for council member coming up, and there are 4 running for council member. My battery's going low, so I'll keep this going as long as I can. But should only one of y'all get the council seat with the other council person, will you be able to work together productively in a way that would benefit our community, or how will you handle that? Or if something happens and none of y'all are elected, how will you continue to work with the council members that would be in there, that will be voted in?
One of the most important things that needs to happen is healing. There needs to be a healing, a unity, not us and them, but we. We are Spruce Pine. We are the people of Spruce Pine. Whether one of us gets elected, all of us gets elected, or none of us, we still need to work together for Spruce Pine. If it's light up Spruce Pine, that benefits our town and the people of our town. If whatever it is, of you know, if we would like, and I honestly tried to get on some of these boards, and I was told there were no openings, because I didn't belong to the right crowd, and yet they appointed 3 new people on a board there were no openings for. So that, you know, that kind of them and us needs to become we. And I think that's a priority for all 3 of them. I speak for my companions here when I say
Yes.
it's a big priority. We need to heal. We talked about, Newland has reached out to Spruce Pine, and the door was slammed in their face. Burnsville has come to Spruce Pine and said, hey, you know, let us do this. No, we don't want you. That kind of thing is got to stop. We need to heal, we need to come together, whether we're elected or not, or one or all, or 2 of us, or however many. We need to heal. We need to stop this them and us, and this forgive me, childishness of this, and pettiness, and it's like,
We're all part of the community.
Yeah.
We
Spruce
live
Pine.
here.
Such thing
This
as
is
an
our
outsider,
town.
Come on.
Yeah.
I know, and, you know, people
Well-
from off or out or whatever they call us, you know.
I actually, being born and raised in North Carolina, because I wasn't born in Spruce Pine, I'm considered an outsider.
Yeah, and I'm from
But I was
Yancey
born and
County.
raised in North Carolina, so, you know, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to
You
me.
live here and you're part of the community, you should be accepted as part of the community, you shouldn't be held as an outsider, that's just not right.
Well, you know, the people come in and they're investing money into
Yeah,
this community,
absolutely.
why are they
And the
considered an
businesses and
outsider?
everything, I know.
That's
And you
just
cannot
not.
put them off, we need these kinds of influx of people. We need, you know, a shot in the arm, we need young people, we need them.
We need to heal. We need to heal and grow together
Yeah.
and become Spruce Pine. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next.
May I ask how you plan on healing and bringing the unity? Like how are you going to do that?
That's a difficult one. I'm sorry. I just jumped right in there.
Well, I always have an,
Yeah. Go
you
ahead.
know, that's how I got to know so many people around town, was jumping in and sort of working together, create something
Mhm.
together. So I guess that's kind of more of that,
Okay.
more of that, in any kind of way. I always welcome new ideas or new participation. You know, if you can't be there the whole time, I'll take what I can get, and we made it happen. So, I think that's how I would like to do it, and also with communication. So, I think the town website could be more welcoming and informative. It's kind of like a lot of photographs, but so I think that's another way to either call people together for events, or it's to share information, or that, whether it's the Facebook or if it's the online page, and create other groups. Like maybe we could have Spruce Pine Gardening Club, or the Spruce Pine Cooking Club, or the Barbecue Club, or maybe identify new ways that people want to gather. You know, maybe the way people gathered 10 years ago is like boring, and people want to gather in a new kind of a way. And I think that's just actually physically bringing people together.
Communication and transparency.
Yeah,
And
communication is a big thing, and it's not very dominant in Spruce Pine. Like, you don't really know about the meetings and stuff unless somebody ruffles some feathers and it just so happens to come out. So the community really doesn't know what's going on.
And we really would like to see more people in the community coming to the town council meetings and giving us input. This is about hearing the voice of the people and putting the voice back in people's mouths. They need to speak.
Right.
You know.
That's why it was so important for us to have this meeting, just of residents of the town, you know, so that they would feel comfortable and welcome, and hopefully want to ask questions or share their thoughts, as citizens of our town.
Right.
This new day and age, we need a communications person. That is their sole purpose, is to just keep everybody updated on what's going on, when the meetings are, what's happening at the meetings, on newspaper, and nothing wrong with the newspaper, I mean, I get it every week and I enjoy it, but it really doesn't give you news. It comes out on a Wednesday when it gives you the previous week's happenings, okay, so it's not very current. And by today's standards, hey, you're a day late, you're behind.
You should be able to go to the town website and see what's coming up and what, you know, and the results of what's happened.
Right.
And there should be communication, and
Yes.
that doesn't happen in a timely
No.
manner.
No, it does not.
And there should also be a lot more information on the site. It's just too generic.
It is very
There
generic,
is
yeah.
no information on.
Come on.
On
this is-
recreation, on
This is a new
business,
age.
yeah.
Right.
This isn't working.
And I do have background in building websites,
Well, yeah,
so
me too.
I'm very familiar with that.
We
So-
need to step up our game, and keep our young people in town and give them jobs
And that's something else that needs to be
and
addressing.
encourage them to go into business and.
Right now, there's approximately 400 jobs that need to be filled. A lot of them are in food service, and I know nobody wants to work at McDonald's. I don't want to work at McDonald's. But, you know, but there's also, we have a local business, you may not be aware of it. They have 200 employees. They need to add another 200. But there's two problems. The water that they were promised by the current town council never happened. And there are lawsuits because of it. They need another 200 employees, but there's nowhere for them to live. Their proposal to the town was that they would build the housing themselves. Housing and daycares and recreation parks right there on the facility to start with another 200 employees. But that can't happen. Number one, no water. They can't get the housing approved. So they're ready to move to Old Fort. They're ready to take the 200 jobs they have, pack it over to Old Fort, and there's going to be another 200 people out of work here. And that's, a lot of you don't know about that, and we didn't. I mean, we were kind of,
had no idea
we were
until we
kind of
started
like,
meeting with people.
yeah, so we can't lose them, yes.
Can you share?
PRC, PRC?
Okay, I got a question now.
Uh-huh.
Now, there's always two sides to every
Yes,
story.
yes, of course.
Have y'all asked the town council, has anybody asked them why this wasn't done, what the reasons were that it didn't happen?
No, I will say I have not.
No, and I have not directly. Our understanding is they went out to take a building down. And because a lot of the old water pipes go into the ground, there was damage. And so they literally have two buildings that they cannot utilize out there right now because they are in the process of lawsuit. Evidently there was some money, my understanding, that was supposed to be funded that they did not receive. So now they have two buildings that they actually, I'm wrong on that, sorry. One building that is demolished and one building that they can use it for nothing but storage, and they have to have someone on 24-hour fire watch because there is no water to the
No
building.
fire suppression system, no water. And they have the rights to the watershed, and they can't get water from the town. So
how would you solve it?
that's another one that we, and
That-
it's part of the whole water issue.
Yeah,
That's
it's
part of the
litigation also.
And it also
is
depends,
involved.
there was a third party involved, and that's where the lawsuit is right now. So they've got to resolve that before anyone can do anything. But it needs to be addressed, it needs to be researched, it needs to be resolved, because we can't afford to lose 200 jobs. We can't, and it's all because of housing.
I'm saying 400.
400. We already have an opening, right now, approximately 400 jobs, including them, they need 200 more people, but there's,
Exactly.
how many times, people say, I'm looking for a job, who's hiring? And how many times do you say, we're hiring? So it's a two-edged sword. But the primary issue with jobs too is lack of housing. Lack of housing is a big problem here. And we need to work with developers to create housing options. I know developers have come to the current council with plans and proposals, and I don't know what those were. Just a moment. Okay, just a moment. I don't know what their plans were, but they were denied access to water to build new housing. No, you can't, we don't want it.
I was just gonna say, we went and talked to them about 32 acres over there at Parkwood Hills. That wouldn't do anything to help us get water. It's got water up there, but we've only got a 1-inch line. So we need to get we need really a 2-inch line and a sewer line up there. Also, I want to point out that I've got 109 acres over across from PRC with an 8-inch line, but they haven't reached out about that. And there's all kinds of housing opportunities there. I mean, right across the road, but they're not interested in working with anyone unless they're part of their, group that's gonna make money off it. And that's one of the big problems I have with
And
the ones that are.
that's the problem, that goes back to the, us and them, you're not one of us, so we won't let you have our water, that's a problem, and here we have children growing up that have no place to, where are they gonna go? She's got a 16-year-old son, I've got a 19-year-old daughter, my daughter wants to stay here, she wants to go into forestry, she wants to work in the park services. But where's she gonna live, with me the rest of her life? It's just, there are people online, on the Facebook, I'm sorry, I'm dominating this, I'm sorry, begging, does anybody have anything for rent, does anybody have anything for, Peter knows, he's in real estate, it's just a problem that needs resolution.
We have we have a declining population, but it wasn't until a few months ago that I learned through a study that was done here that we have negative rooftops. So in other words, not just population is declining, but housing is disappearing. I guess it's abandoned houses getting torn down or removed or whatever. So that's an unusual thing when the building is not overtaking the other things. So it is a crisis situation. And as soon as Spruce Pine goes, so goes the county. And regardless of how Mitchell County sees things, this is the economic driver. So Spruce Pine needs to be leading the way and not waiting for the county to do something. Spruce Pine needs to lead on this and open it up to where, we change ordinances or whatever, and to create housing opportunities and change zoning to make things more beneficial, because in real estate, commercial real estate, any retail or industry follows rooftops. In other words, if they don't see the rooftops, they're not coming with that.
And people who move into the area, they're gonna shop local, they're gonna buy their groceries local, they're gonna fill up their cars local. Whether they're in low-income housing or whether they're in a mini mansion, they're still gonna impact the economy in a positive way. And new houses means new taxpayers, which eases the burden on the people that are already here, paying the lion's share of the tax burden. So it will actually diffuse that and hopefully lower taxes for the property owners. So.
How do you feel about limiting the number of Airbnbs within the city limits?
Within the city limits?
Like, and you don't have any power outside cities.
Right.
I'm saying, limit the number or put, some restrictions on how many Airbnbs we can actually have. We have such a small community, we can't just keep letting people come in here, take the house, turn it into an Airbnb, and then, abandon us. And then we just have transient people who live here, and we don't have a building of the community. It's detrimental to the community. And I'm not saying I want to put anybody out of business, okay? Before somebody goes off on a rant or something, but I just think that there should be some limitations on that. I don't know how you feel about it.
Well, we would like to see, when we talk about growth and things like that, we do want to see very controlled growth. We don't want 20-story hotel buildings coming in here and blocking our views. We think there should be limitations that are set and put into place, as far as building structures and what people can do, instead of just coming in and saying, oh, well, let me put up this 20-story building and
Sure,
block everybody out. We don't want that, and these are things we do need to work on.
I'll work on, and also we all, I think I speak for all three, I've been doing a lot of speaking for all three of us, but, we wanna protect our natural resources, the views, like she mentioned, our river. We have every intention of protecting those fiercely, because we don't want a big
We also
hotel
need to
unit
protect
on our river.
Single-family housing, though.
Yeah, it has to be
We don't
protected.
have
Yes.
single-family housing, and we don't, like you said, rooftops.
And we want to see growth in that
Yeah.
respect, but not to the detriment of our town
We
and
can't
our.
have Airbnbs in town,
No,
and expect
no.
the tax base to be there.
And there, I understand what you're saying about that, and that is something that we should look into more. Because, you know, we don't want to take away, you know, and we don't want just all transient all the time.
Right.
So, it's very good, valid point.
And I think that's kind of a national thing. I think a lot of places are struggling with that, so there's probably a lot of conversations that we can either be part of or listen to and see how other communities are managing that kind of thing, because it's not just here that that's happening, and, you know, we can benefit from partnering or some best practices in other communities and how they've addressed that.
From a realtor standpoint, there's not a lot of Airbnbs inside the city limits of Spruce Pine. Most of that's gonna be out here where you got your views and on the mountainsides and stuff. There is, however, a huge percentage, I forget what it is, but it's not over 50%, but it is a large amount of housing in Spruce Pine that is not owner occupied. There is rental, so.
I do have, this is a question from, Matt Hanson, wanted to know, bear with me, I can't see too well. What, do you know the numbers on how many are using the hotel, to live as a residence place? By any chance, with the two hotels, the Spruce Pine Motel and the
I
Pine
don't
Valley?
know what percentage, but I know that there are, most of the rooms are full most of the time because the people cannot find a place to live. And I know living in the one hotel, they're paying over $700 a month for a room. And that is just, you know, ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I got a question for Lynn. You go to the town hall meetings all the time. Have you ever heard them say anything about the housing down there in any of those meetings about
No.
their concern with housing,
No.
anything?
No.
And I hadn't.
I think I was there that one time when weren't you at that one meeting with a woman and
I had
another
my two
man?
partners with me over the water and
Yeah,
stuff.
that was the only occasion that I can remember where that topic was, and you were the one who brought it up.
I just wondered, because I don't follow it all the time like you do.
No, and I don't remember, in the times that I have been there, I don't remember them saying anything about the housing, but, and I will say this in defense of the new board, you know, when they got voted in, and, Darlene, and then they have come a long way from what they took over as the new board with, Darlene and Darla and Jackie. It has come a long way from what it was before them. So they have been making some strides, but as you said, it's not gonna happen overnight, and I know, and it didn't happen overnight with them, but now it's time to move on and do more and keep pushing forward and get out of that. Okay, what do we need to do now? What's next?
Yeah, it's not just the planning. You know, we can do all of the planning in the world, but if you don't take action on it, what's the point in the planning? So we've got to take action on our plans.
One thing I forgot to ask you ladies, I have a 19-year-old son also, as you know.
I'm sorry.
I can't hear you. One thing I forgot to ask you ladies, I have a 19-year-old son also. The kids here have nothing to do.
Yes.
I'm so worried about my child every day. I'm sorry, but I get a little emotional about this because you don't
That's all
know
right.
what they're gonna get into. And they've been run out of town and don't have no activities. Do y'all have any plans to be able, to direct our youth?
We do need to have more youth-friendly entertainment in place. I have seen this problem. I have a son that's 28 that still lives with us. He commutes out of town for work because he can't find anything here. But that is one of the reasons he's not interested in staying here, because there is absolutely nothing, even at the age of 28, there is nothing for him to do.
The most that I hear from the kids, it's just, I wish I could've grew up in your day, Mama.
I
Well,
have not discussed this with them, so but I'm gonna put this out there. I think it would be a benefit to the entire town and to parents, like you and me and, you know, I know they're not in the city limits, but I think it would be beneficial to have invite the Mitchell High School Student Council to come and participate and put in, give us their input. What do you want? What do the kids want? What do the kids need? And I think it's important that they have a voice. They're our future.
I actually tried to call and get a meeting with them to just see if we could just talk to the seniors about voting and their knowing their rights, but they would not, give us permission. They said they were leaving that up to social studies.
They should have a voice because they are our future. They're the current student body
Well, if you
government.
don't get them
They might
involved
be the
then,
future
you know,
town
they're not gonna be
council.
involved later.
You're gonna lose them.
Yes,
So-
exactly,
So
exactly.
yes, and with a 19-year-old daughter, I understand there's nothing for them to do. And I, by the way, kudos to the town for the splash pad and all that they've done, you know, for the children, but, and I don't
Not for
want
the
to dismiss
teenagers.
that. But yeah, there's a lot more, teenagers aren't gonna go play on the swing set, they're not, you know, yeah, a lot needs to be
Yes.
done. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that got me thinking, when you've got kids who are in that 20-somethings, our job potential is fast food, and potentially 200 jobs if there's housing and water and all that good stuff. Have you guys thought about the infrastructure in terms of our Wi-Fi slash, because working from home here, as you know, Sharon, is not always on the up and up.
We do need to have improvements in our internet, services in this area. I think that we definitely need to get in touch directly with AT&T and Spectrum and get them to come in and do some troubleshooting in this area. I know for a fact that they have not been called in for that. I call them being a business owner and needing to run credit cards. I call them an average of twice a month because my internet's down and I can't process someone's card. This is a problem for business owners. And I mean, I'm not using myself as the only
Because it's even
example.
bigger than that.
It's
actually.
bigger than that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
the
there's so
kids
much
are
work from
having,
home nowadays.
and the kids are having trouble connecting. If we ever have to go back to online schooling, I mean, there were always problems. It was never. But a lot of the lines that are here are old, and a lot of them need to be replaced. So,
Go ahead.
No, we had the cable line put in, how many years ago, 9 years ago? They had the contract where
Yeah.
they were getting cable to everybody.
Supposed to be high-speed fiber to every home in Nickel County.
Yeah,
Yancey County.
and how long
Which is
ago
different.
was that?
Thanks for coming.
Oh, that's country
So-
cable though.
No, that was in town, they were running it even in town, that was to all Mitchell County.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Yeah, that's country
Yeah.
cable.
Yeah.
That was in Spectrum, that's
Oh,
country
wasn't
cable.
it country cable, but don't they all use the same lines?
Nope.
No, okay.
It's all separate.
Okay,
So
well then-
they, and,
Okay.
you know, it's very difficult for an area like ours to have that, and it requires coordination between the company, the local government, the state government,
Yeah.
and getting the money in place to do it, and I think that, I personally feel like what happened before, there was, $30-some million to do it, and it just didn't happen. And I don't think no one was doing any checks and balances on that, and the ball got dropped. So, you know, that, in real estate, that's the bane of my existence, you know, because it isn't just, you know, people wanna work from home, number one, but then, you know, people do buy vacation homes or whatever on the mountains here, and people need to do workcations, you know, and that's so very vital and important, and everything we do in our lives is based off of that now. And so for that to be, that needs to be part of any infrastructure planning for a town, I believe. So, we're at our time limit to roll this thing up now, and, I'd like to give the candidates, each of them a little closing statement, or, a vote for me moment, or whatever, so go ahead.
Well, I wanted to thank everybody who came, and a lot of great questions, a lot of great interactions, and, I've been around a lot in some of the, around apartment communities and visiting with people and talking, and it's actually, I've met some new people that have become my friends, and, I appreciate their support, and I would appreciate your support, on November the 7th. So, hopefully I'd like your vote.
And I would like to thank everybody for taking your time out of your evening. I know it's tough to get out on a Monday night in the cold. It's like a little chillier than I anticipated. I really appreciate all of the great questions. I would like to invite anyone to please reach out to me personally if they think of any other questions they want to ask. I am willing to be open with everyone, so that I can give them the information that they need.
I appreciate all of you being here. It was good to meet you. I'm not in the middle of new faces, and I'm glad for that. I've lived here 3 years, but I'm not really outgoing, so I'm still enjoying meeting everyone. I have one thing I love it when somebody asks me a question that I don't know the answer to, because that means we're both about to learn something. So if I don't have the answer, I'm going to find out. So yeah, we've got our work cut out for us. There's no question. We've got a lot of research to do, a lot of planning. I think everything comes down to putting a plan and development into place and work from there. So yes, we all intend to work hard for Spruce Pine. That's what we're here for. Not for me, not for my family members. I don't even have any family here except my daughter, and she doesn't contract. So, but no, it's all about Spruce Pine, and it's about growing together, growing our town, and uniting our town, and just making Spruce Pine the best little town in the mountains that can be. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys.